Number 1. Kate Bushell. Kate Bushell, 14, had her throat slit in a field just 300 yards from her home in the Exwick area of Exeter, Devon, on November 15, 1997. The teenager had walked with her terrier dog called Gemma up the nearby Exwick Lane at around 4:45 p.m. When the schoolgirl failed to return home, her parents Jerry and Suzanne went to look for her. Her father, a retired local government officer, found her body with the dog waiting nearby at 7:30 p.m. The inquiry into her death is Devon and Cornwall Police's biggest ever murder investigation, costing more than £1 million. A recent appeal for information by police generated 10 new leads, and detectives finished a fresh review into the schoolgirl's murder. In June 2017, a team of serving and retired detectives and staff, some of whom worked on the original inquiry, began re-examining key evidence because they are convinced the killer had local knowledge and a connection to the Exwick area. On the anniversary of her death, police made a public appeal, releasing pictures of the type of kitchen knife used in the murder and revealing a forensic breakthrough. Officers received 204 calls and messages identifying 10 new significant lines of inquiry, including the names of potential suspects. But there has still not been any arrests in connection with her murder. This is still a cold case which is baffling UK police. Number 2. Eve Stratford. Eve Stratford, who worked as a bunny girl at the Playboy Club in London's Park Lane, was raped and killed in her home on the evening of March 18, 1975. She was found with her throat slashed by her boyfriend Tony Priest, the lead singer with the pop band Onyx. The 22-year-old glamour model's throat had been slashed between 8 and 12 times. Detectives believe she may have known her killer and invited him into the flat she shared with Tony. 6 months after Eve's death, Lynn Whedon, 16, was brutally attacked and raped in an alleyway near her home in Hounslow at 11 p.m. on September 3rd. She died after being found barely alive at an electricity substation the next day. Former Met Police detective, Colin Sutton, believes a third woman, Linda Farrow, who was knifed to death in her home 4 years later in 1979, was also a victim of the same killer. Eve and Lynn's murders were linked in 2007 after matching DNA was discovered on the victims, who did not know each other. The Met Police have confirmed that there are no recent updates into her death. Number 3. Paul Savage. Postman Paul Savage was brutally beaten to death with a wooden baton as he carried out his delivery round, around 7:15 a.m. on February 4, 2003. The postman's body was only discovered when the owner of a property in Mold, Wales, went to his car a short while later. He had been repeatedly beaten around the head so violently that the base of his skull was crushed. 2 young men wearing hooded tops were seen running away from the spot where Mr. Savage was found lying beside his bike in the snow with his mobile. Police learnt Paul, originally from Sale, Greater Manchester, had a lengthy criminal record stretching back some 10 years. It was discovered he had been jailed for 9 months for possession of drugs with intent to supply after being caught with cannabis worth more than £1 million. Upon his release from prison, he left North Wales for Mold with his wife Charlotte and 4-year-old daughter. North Wales police carried out a full investigation, which lasted until 2009, and made a fresh appeal for witnesses after that. The force said there have been no recent updates into Paul's murder. Number 4. Nikki Allen. After leaving her grandparents' flat in Sunderland, Tyne and Wear, in 1992, 7-year-old Nikki Allen was stabbed 37 times and her body was dumped in a derelict building. When Nikki went missing on her short journey home, a desperate search was launched. The following morning, she was found inside the old Exchange building near her home, after her coat and shoes were spotted. Poor Nikki was found lying in a pool of blood. Northumbria police detained a man, said to be in his 50s, in Stockton on suspicion of murder. Detectives had confirmed they had made a DNA breakthrough in the unsolved child killing case. The force said in a statement, a man was arrested on suspicion of murdering schoolgirl Nikki Allen. He has been released under investigation. Inquiries are ongoing. Witnesses said forensic officers in white suits spent around 8 hours coming in and out of a house. There are no updates in the investigation. In 1993, George Heron, who was 24 at the time, stood trial for Nicky's murder, but was cleared by a jury at Leeds Crown Court. Then, in 2014, Sunderland serial killer Stephen Grief's son was arrested and questioned on suspicion of Nicky's murder. But he was later told he would face no action. The case still remains unsolved. Number 5. Alistair Wilson. Alistair Wilson spent Sunday, November 28, 2004, taking a stroll along the Scottish coast with his wife Veronica. After returning to his home in Nairn, a seaside town in northeast Scotland, he had dinner and tucked his 2 young boys into bed. But hours later, a strange man came to the door asking to speak to the 30-year-old banker. Mr. Wilson was shot twice in the head and once in the body, leaving his wife and children left without a husband and father. Baffled police have yet been unable to solve the murder, but in December 2016, they revealed more about the gun that was used to kill Alistair. A gun, identical to the 1920s Henelskmeiser that killed him, turned up at a local house clearance sale. At the time, a caller rang a radio station saying they know more information about the crime. Henelskmeiser are rarely found in the UK, and there have only been 13 of them recovered there since 2008. Police believe that soldiers may have brought the guns back to the UK following the Second World War. Despite several public appeals and numerous documentaries made about the case, it still remains unsolved.